All right, you guys have been asking for it. I'm so stoked to finally have it available, and that is our online store. Go to jollyroger907.com, and you're gonna find all our merch, our hats, our shirts, our stuff. I'm gonna show you really quick. What do we got here? We got some really cool Jolly Roger Racing stickers that Bud Wendell just did. We've got some Because We're Inverted stickers. That's going to be a shirt coming out pretty soon. We got the old retro Jolly Roger sticker there. So we got 3 stickers, $5, $2, $3. We've got 2 styles of hats, the gray and the blue JRR. And then we also have the Jolly Roger skull and crossbone. And we've got 2 main t-shirt designs. I've got more coming. I have a ton of t-shirt designs. I'm working on 2 or 3 of them right now, so there will be more, so keep checking back. But really quick, run through here. We got the Jolly Roger Racing logo. We have these in black and gray. And then we got the JRR. This is kind of like a Top Gun throwback with the little mini sprint boat on there. Looks like the Top Gun emblem. We got that in the blue and the gray. And then these are kid sizes. We got the black with the Jolly Roger Racing logo, and then another blue one with the Top Gun theme. We also have select sizes in hoodies. We have tank tops. We have skull and crossbone flags. I'm gonna have koozies, so we got all that stuff. Go check it out at jollyroger907.com. Let's get to the video. All right, guys, welcome to Eric's podcast. Just kidding. No, I just kind of thought of an idea on a video, and I get asked this question a lot, and that is, why do I race? And honestly, I don't have one specific answer. I have a bunch of different answers, and there's a lot of reasons that I do it, and I think there's a lot of reasons that other people do it. But I just wanted to address that today in this video and kind of shed some light on what is that passion or what drives me to do this stuff and crash boats and put all this money into it and time and effort and all that stuff. So let's talk about that today. Let's dig into this thing. All right, so probably the number one question that I get asked is, do you make a lot of money at it? And I actually laugh. It's quite comical. I think people have this misperception, you know, of F1 or NASCAR guys, or maybe even NHRA, top of their big sports and the big money that they make. But in these smaller sports, no, the answer is no, we don't do it for the money. I don't know a single sprint boat racer that does it for the money. So take that off of the table. It costs us a ton of money to run these boats, to build them, to maintain them, and to make them competitive. So without a doubt, no, we do not do it for the money. What about for the speed rush? Like, people ask that. So is it just a rush that you get? And yes, we do get a rush. And so I would say my first thing is that, yes, that is part of the reason that I race these boats. I love the speed rush. I love the I don't know, it's just intense. The G's that you feel on your body, and the banks just whizzing by, and it's intense. The horsepower, that acceleration out of the hole, all those things. Yes, it is a rush. So yes, that absolutely is a part of the reason I race. It's not the only reason. We'll get into some other stuff here in a second on that. So I think that there's a lot of people, and this is another, I will admit, okay, this is a part of it too for me, is that competitive bone that, like, I want to beat that guy today. I want to go out and prove my dominance and say that I am faster, I'm a better driver, I build a better boat, all that stuff. So yes, that is a part of it too. I think there's certain racers that is, and all these things I'm going to say are part of it. I think each one of those is a bigger part of the equation for different people. Some people love that speed rush, and that's, you know, a bigger part of why they do it. They don't have the competitive bone, or maybe they don't have the money to have a competitive boat, and that's fine. So that's a smaller part of the equation for them. There are people, though, that are insanely competitive, and those are the guys that I like beating the most, because I feel like I'm a pretty good sportsman, and if somebody does beat me, I have no problem going up to them, shaking their hand, saying, hey, you beat me today. You drove better than me today. Your boat was faster than my boat today. I'm coming after you tomorrow. That's always my response. So yes, I am competitive, and yes, I love that challenge of beating everybody, of saying I had the fastest boat today, or I drove the best run or the best race today. And that note, so yes, the competitive part, but on that same note, I feel too like racing in a way, you always think of golf when you're looking for that perfect golf shot. You were on the driving range and you're just wasting ball after ball after ball, slice, hook, whatever. And you hit 300 balls hoping for that one perfect shot where everything just comes together and you nail it. And I kind of think racing is like that too, where you are waiting for that absolutely perfect run. Like you go up through the qualifiers or maybe even all the way through the season and you're making tiny little mistakes. You're misjudging the bank. Your motor's not running right. The boat's not trimmed right. So it's just not perfect yet. And I feel like the racing world, it sets you up to, through the millennium, try to get that absolute perfect run, and it's almost like it's a sickness, it's a cancer. It's like you can't not stop trying to get that perfect run. So that's another part of it. I would say though that for me, well, one other thing is, and it kind of goes along the lines of that competitive bone that we all have, is that trophy. Like I've got a bunch of trophies upstairs, and a lot of them are second places, a lot of them are third places, some of them are first places. But when it kind of gets down to it, that's kind of along the way of the mode of thinking of why do we do it, and it's that competitive bone. I got the first place trophy. You didn't. So yeah, that is a part of it. So the money, no. The speed rush and the adrenaline rush, yes. The competitiveness, yes. But I think for me personally, one of my favorite parts of this sport, of the sprint boat racing, is actually immediately after the race. And let me backtrack. I'll tell you a real quick story. When I was in the military, I was flying F-18s off of and onto aircraft carriers all over the world in crazy countries, crazy rough seas, bad weather, all that stuff. And when we'd all come aboard the boat at night, me and my JO buddies, we'd sit around the ready room or whatever, and we would just talk about that day. Like, that was crazy out there. The deck was pitching, and it was just crazy. And then we'd pull into port and we would party hard. We would work hard and we would play hard, and we would have an incredible bond. Like the camaraderie with my Navy buddies in those times of my life were second to none. And that was a big kind of decision maker on getting out of the military and going into the airline, was losing that camaraderie. Like, you're not going to have that same stuff on a construction site, or if you're an accountant or a Wall Street broker. You don't have that camaraderie where you're doing something extremely dangerous, just intense with your best buddies, and then you can share those experiences and talk about it at the end of the day. So that, and it wasn't intended. I didn't get into racing thinking, well, I'm going to go find camaraderie in some sport or anything like that. It just happened. Like when you strap into one of these boats and your buddy is out there doing the same thing, it's an extreme connection that you guys now have with each other, and you can talk about, you can have a beer together about, and just discuss on how intense it was, how hard the rotation was, how the shells were surprised, and how the competition was. That guy was faster. Yeah, we beat that guy, or whatever. Like, it's just a bond that you connect with your fellow racers, and I absolutely love that part of the racing. So for me, I'd say the three things: the speed rush, the competitive bone, and that camaraderie. Those are, to me, the three parts of the equation of why I pour my heart and soul into this sport. And for me, that camaraderie is a big part. I'd say 60%, and then the other two are only 30% each, or something like that. 33. Who's doing the math here? But so for me, that's why I do it. And the cool thing that I think about is that even once I hang it up and I get out of that driver's seat, I still want to be involved in the sport. I can still hang out after the race, hang out in the pits, talk with the guys and the gals and the racers, and just talk about it. So I am so glad that I found this sport, because I feel like I have that connection, that camaraderie for as long as I choose to stay involved in the sport. Let's talk really quick about money. Like, this sport, I get asked that. Do you do it for money? No. Well, how much does it cost? A lot. It costs a lot of money to build a competitive boat, I will say. You could get into the sport and enjoy those same things, the speed rush, well, less. You're probably not going to be as competitive, but I don't care if you're the fastest boat on the track or the slowest boat on the track, you're still going to get that camaraderie. You're still out there doing it, where I'm still going to high five you and fist bump you and all that kind of stuff. Even if you're the slowest boat out there, it doesn't matter. You kind of bought your way into it, and we all respect the other racers because they're going through the same thing that we do. So that's a really cool part of it. You don't have to have a $100,000 boat. You could have a $15,000 boat and team and still be sitting there cheering and drinking and enjoying the camaraderie just with the rest of us. That's a really cool part of it. It is expensive. What about the money? Do we make a lot of money? Nah. Nope. The prize money is kind of ridiculously low in our sport, and I understand why, because they don't really have to pay us, because where else are we going to race? There's only a few tracks. And I'm okay with that, because I know that I want the tracks to make money. They got to make money, but there also has to be a balance. I think that there's anywhere from, I don't want to say it, in the social status, so there's some very wealthy racers that typically own businesses. There's people that are scrapping by to, kick up some money to get gas to make it to the track. So all sides of the spectrum, but that camaraderie still doesn't fail you. But that is why that prize money is so important, because a $500 check is way more important to somebody, than somebody that doesn't necessarily need that or has their own business is quite well off. So that is, it is important, I believe, for the tracks to keep kind of upping their game and increasing those payouts. It does. Does it make me change my mind if I'm going to drive across the state and go race there? No, absolutely not. I'm going for those other reasons. But it is, it's pretty cool. What about the cost? So you could get into the sport for about $15,000, maybe even a little bit less. You could buy a turnkey, race-ready, used boat. That boat is not going to be competitive. You'll be struggling to probably even make the 8 cut, depending on what class you're going into. So you can spend the money, get that boat, and you're probably going to be, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th place in your class. What about being competitive? Again, in your class, if you're talking podiums, if you want to be the top 3 right now in any one of these classes, let me think about this real close. If you're gonna try to fight for the podium, 3rd place, I would say minimum's going to be $30,000, maybe pushing $40,000. There's guys that do it cheaper, and I do my sport or my team and my boat. I save a lot of money because I do my own fabricating. However, now that I'm buying a Sprint Tech, that's not exactly true, and it's costing me a lot of money. But I wanted the best of the best. So there's guys that are racers that are engine builders. Well, then they don't have to pay an engine builder. I'm not an engine builder. I got to pay an engine builder a lot to do that. So it depends on the scenario. Some guys can't fabricate at all, so they got to pay somebody else to do it and whatnot. So, or maybe they're busy, they got to pay somebody else to do it. So the cost, like I said, you can get into the sport $12,000 to $15,000. Let's say $25,000 to $40,000 to be competitive. And if you want to be the top dog in your class, God, you're looking at honestly $70,000 to $100,000 plus. Specifically in the superboat class, our motors are ridiculously expensive. And even the 400 class, those motors, you're looking at $60,000, $70,000 for one of the top Group A 400 motors. So it is expensive just for the motors. That's one thing I learned. I was not into racing until I came into the sport, and that's one thing I very quickly learned, is that horsepower is money. Money buys you horsepower, and it's not this linear line. It's you don't get 200 horsepower and it just keeps this gradual descent up to 500 and so on. I'd say once you get to about 500 horsepower, that cost curve skyrockets. It's extremely expensive to now make 700 horsepower. It's even more expensive to try to squeeze 800 out, or now if you're pushing up over 1,000, it just keeps getting steeper and steeper on that cost to build one of these engines that you're squeezing 1,000 horsepower out of an NA engine, an NA small block nonetheless. It's not easy to do. So with that being said, let's talk about sponsorships really quick. I kind of choose not to pursue sponsorships. I did it for a while. But man, I just found that I was spending so much time chasing sponsorships and asking for a $500 check to put a sticker on my boat. I was spending days, weeks trying to get a $500 check, and it just wasn't panning out. And I just kind of had the realization, like, I'll just pick up extra work at home. At my job, my airline job, I'll go fly a trip to Anchorage and back and make $1,500 instead of $500. So it took me a day to do that. It was easier for me. That everybody doesn't have that same accessibility to go do that. Like depending on their career or the job type or the market or whatever, you can't just go work extra and get extra money. I'm kind of lucky in that case for sure. So it's expensive and. So the sponsorship thing didn't really pan out for me. I don't pursue them. I've gotten a couple. I put Jerry on my boat. I worked a deal with Brad. I really liked his reverse mount starter, and I said I won't get in it. He sponsored me, and I gladly put his sticker on there. And I'm glad and proud to say that Jerry is a sponsor of mine. And I think you see a lot of product sponsors like that where people, hey, I got sponsored by Lucas Oil. Well, what'd you get? Thousands of dollars? No, I got a case of oil. So you see some of that stuff going on, but every little bit helps because it's extremely expensive to run these boats, to maintain them, and to make it through the season. So how else do we get money? Like, I don't know. The YouTube I'm not getting rich off of YouTube. Making a couple $100 maybe here and there, $200 a month or $300 a month is a big month for me. It's not, I don't make a ton off of it for sure. I'd love to get there. It's never my goal to become rich off of YouTube. It is nice to supplement, and honestly, I enjoy making the videos. I enjoy talking. Obviously, Tina always gives me crap. Like, you're a talker. I'm like, I love talking about my passions, and I love talking about sprint boat racing. So YouTube's kind of the perfect outlet for me to talk and share my passions about this sport. So it'd be awesome if I ever made money on it. I'm not counting on it. But things like our online store, we just opened that up, jollyroger907.com, where all our merch, our hats, our shirts, hoodies, all that kind of stuff. Any little bit helps, and if any of those things are profitable, hey, that's going into our racing coffers to try to finance new builds and all that stuff. So, and I'll say this with all sincerity, and I saw it somewhere on. A lot of my Facebook friends are racers in offshore boats, circle track, you name it, and somebody posted this. And it was about a business. And they said, if you have a friend that's in business, support them, support your friend by going and giving them business, not by asking for free stuff. Like, hey, my best friend's an excavator. Hey, can you bring your excavator over and dig a trench for me for free? Well, no, like, hire your friend, rather give them the business than somebody else. Don't ask for free stuff because somebody has a business or whatever. Support them. And I would say that I've seen it's really tough. I always want to give all my gear away. Like, I'll give my hats, but those things cost me money. I want my store to be, a source of extra income to finance the racing rather than another cost. If it's just a cost, I'm not going to do it. So go support your team, support your favorite racers, buy a hat, buy a shirt, do whatever you need to do. Juggernaut Racing, Sam, she helped me a ton on getting this store up. Go check out their store. I don't even know what their website is, but it's on their Instagram. Go to Juggernaut Racing, find their online store, buy a Juggernaut hat, buy a keychain, do whatever. There's a bunch that are out there. Go buy their stuff. Cletus, he's got his online store. He doesn't need me advertising for him. I wish he'd advertise for me. But anyway, go support your racers because it's expensive. We want to put on a show. Help us. Help me, afford my passion, I guess is what we're saying. So anyway, I just thought it was an interesting topic. The question always gets asked, so there it is. Why do I do it? I do it for the camaraderie. First and foremost, I do it for the speed rush, and I do it because I like beating that other racer. So those are my 3 reasons. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the quick little talk, and I got to get out in the garage and get to work on that mini boat.